Your past explains you. It provides context. But it does not get to dictate your future. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. This show is proudly sponsored by Rumble and Rise. To find out more about joining Rumble and Rise, head on over to graceandgrit.com/ready to rumble. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. By the middle of life, most women are deeply aware of their patterns, how they respond to stress, where they default instead of choose, what they repeat even though it no longer serves them. Maybe it's people-pleasing that leaves you resentful. Maybe it's perfectionism that keeps you stuck. Maybe it's the belief that you're only valuable when you're producing, when you're productive. And I have long said that awareness is not a feel-good exercise. Awareness alone can feel really heavy, which I think is largely why we avoid the work. But you can't change what you don't see. As Martha Beck says, awareness is the way out. So although awareness can feel heavy, it is actually the beginning of freedom. So the willingness to become more aware of your behavioral patterns is the gateway to more freedom. I talk in my book, The Consistency Code, about my relationship with anger, how for a big chunk of my life, I was very reactive. I would lash out, and I knew it was an issue because I didn't feel like I was being in integrity with myself when I acted that way, but I was also hurting people around me. And so I knew that it needed to change. And working with a therapist, what came to light pretty quickly was that anger was simply a pattern that helped me to feel safe. So anytime I was feeling disappointed or unsure or scared or sad, anger was this awesome emotion that I could cultivate and project that pushed everything away. Now, I'm not saying the consequences of it were something that I wanted, but it served a purpose. It helped me to stay safe. But the awesome thing is once I could see that long-standing pattern and where it was coming from and what it was costing me, it gave me the power to start interrupting it. And neuroscience explains this really beautifully. Patterns are not your identity. They are learned pathways. They are things we have practiced so many times that they feel like they're just who we are. But the power is in remembering that learned pathways can change with repetition, intention, and here's the one we really struggle with, compassion. Dr. Rick Hanson, who's a neuropsychologist and author of Hardwiring Happiness, explains that the brain has a negativity bias. It's wired to hold on to painful experiences more strongly than positive ones. I heard a TED Talk person, I don't remember who it was, but I heard them explain this as Teflon and Velcro. He explained that to most humans, the positive events are like Teflon. They just slide right off of us. They don't stick around for very long. But the negative things that have happened to us are like Velcro. They stick, and they stick hard. And this negativity bias, it served a purpose at one point. right? In history, it served a purpose, but in modern life, it often means that we internalize criticism, failure, and fear far more deeply than success, safety, or love. Because think about it, back in the day, everything was a threat. And so having a negativity bias kept us really safe. Now, there's a lot of craziness happening in the world right now. Nobody is arguing that. And yes, there's a lot that is unsafe about the world. But compared to hundreds of years ago, life is pretty cushy. And we now have the choice. Do we want to keep our brain programmed with this negativity bias? Or do we want to choose something else? And this is where the most brilliant mechanism of the brain comes in, that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself. That never stops at a certain age. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you can create new pathways. You can interrupt old patterns, old loops, old habits that no longer serve you. But it requires, and this is the part we hate, it requires a lot of deliberate practice, not just insight. And man, we are living in a world of insight overload, information overload. I share in the book that it's been called infobesity, right? This constant consumption of information. It does you no good. The only way information changes you is through practice, deliberate practice, not once, not twice, but consistently. And this is why self-compassion is so incredibly critical. I brought up Dr. Christine Neff in the Consistency Code, who talks about the fact that self-compassion, not self-esteem, is what predicts long-term resilience and physiological well-being. Self-esteem is contingent. It rises and falls based on performance. But self-compassion is stable. It recognizes that struggle, hardship, challenges, obstacles are a part of being human. You are not broken in any way, shape, or form. You are patterned. I'm going to say that again. You are not broken, you are patterned. And patterns can be rewritten. Viktor Frankl, famous quote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." So midlife, I have found, is the first time a lot of women are recognizing that they are holding the pen. They get to choose if they want to rework patterns. I think it was Henry Ford that said the first 40 years of your life are really just research. And I am such a strong proponent of this idea that midlife is now where rubber meets the road. What are you going to do with that research? Now that you have awareness of your patterns, now that you see what those patterns have cost you, what are you going to do about it? That is the invitation of midlife. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a midlife woman's guide to deep health and happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.